Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and welcome to another episode of Mental Health Matters, where we openly talk about mental health. My name is Harpal Singh, and I've got a wonderful array of talent today for you. जी आइनो सानो जो एक सारे दर्शन देखने लगे मेरा नाम हरपाल सिंह है तो ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ऐसी मेंटल हेल्थ टॉपिक पर बात करेंगे मेरा पहला जो guest है the first guest I've got is Jasbal Kaur. She's a community psychiatric nurse, specialist in perinatal health, nurse and the founder of JKL Art Therapy. I'd like to have a warm welcome to Jasbal. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Jasbal, just a bit background about information about you.
Well, I am a community psychiatric nurse, and I've worked in a whole host of different areas in mental health settings with lots of different people, adults and children, and I've been doing that in the NHS for about 12 years now.
Okay.
And more recently I've started to do some art therapy training, so alongside the nursing I also run the JKL Art Therapy Placement, which looks at making therapy accessible.
That's great. The second person we've got today, Sangat, is a qualified social worker, experienced in working with children, family services, inspector for early years services, a social worker for adoption team in Ealing. She's currently the director of fostering, Connect Fostering, working with children of the age of 0 to 18 with special needs. Works in a number of charity organisations and gives back to the charities through Seva. I'd like to introduce you to Kieran as well. Kieran Sabah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So Kieran, just I've not done justice here for you, but a bit about yourself and your background, especially with Connect.
Sure. Connect has been going for about 5 years. We offer a range of placements to children with additional needs, children that are suffering from all types of abuse, neglect, physical, maybe come from backgrounds of domestic violence. We cover most of the London boroughs and Greater London boroughs, and we're also in Manchester as well. So we offer a range of placements to vulnerable children.
Okay, that's fantastic. Just while I'll start off with the first question with you is, for the viewers at home, where we're going to be talking about perinatal. Unfortunately, I don't know what perinatal is, so I can't translate in Punjabi, but as soon as I speak to Jasbal, hopefully she can shed some light on what perinatal is, so I can then translate it for you in Punjabi. Just to let you know, the numbers are on the screen, so if you guys wish to ring in and speak to our consultants here as well, our experts, we can do. And so numbers on the screen, please ring in. If you need to ring in जो पंजाबी च भी सारे दर्शक जो देख रहे हैं उन्होंने भी जो फ़ोन करना है तो नंबर सारे नीचे स्क्रीन पे है तो दोनों जसपाल ते किरण तुसी गलबात कर सकते हैं या सवाल पूछ सकते हैं. Jasbal, coming back to, what is perinatal mental health?
So perinatal mental health is thinking about a very important time with a specific focus of a woman and what she might go through. So having a baby is a huge life event for the whole family. But with perinatal mental health, we think about a woman's mental health from conception, so when the baby is conceived, through pregnancy, and then up to a year postnatally. And the reason why there is focus on that particular time is because that's when things can emerge and intensify in terms of a person's mental health experience.
Value points being made here is perinatal care, from what Jasbal kindly tell me. It's when a person or a woman is going through the early stages of pregnancy from conception up to 1 year, and the phase and the journey through it. जो साडे बीबियां जो हैगियां उन्होंने जो गर्भवती होंदी है गर्भवती दा शुरू तो लेके 1 साल तक जो बच्चा 1 साल दे हो गया वो असी अज है ना गलबात करेंगे जो उन्होंने तकलीफ होंदी है उन्होंने जो उन्होंने पुरानियां नो बीबियां नो सारे नो जो तकलीफ होंदी है उसके बारे से जो गल करेंगे. जो किसी को कोई सवाल होया या कुछ कमेंट्स होए तो प्लीज़ telephone number there ring करिए. So perinatal care, why is it so important?
It is very important because I think, like I said, it's a very natural phenomenon having a baby. But what we do forget is that it's a huge transition for a woman to go through. So not only the physical changes and the trauma that the body might experience, but also what the mind has to go through in terms of the complete dependence that a child has upon its mother or caregiver. And I think managing that transition and the pressures alongside hormonal issues, alongside a sleep deprivation, and I think this assumption that we all have that motherhood should be very joyous, and I don't think everybody experiences the same pregnancy or birth or relationship with their child. So within perinatal mental health, we look at that attachment. We look at how the mother is retaining her sense of self, so how she feels about herself, and then how she feels about the connectedness to the baby, because that's really important as a foundation towards any future mental health of the child and the mother.
Wow. Kieran, same question to you. What's your experience of, as a social worker, you've been with early childhood and perinatal?
So one of the things we specifically do is we offer mother and baby placements, so actually called parent and child placements, and that's when the parent and child come into foster placement, and we support that placement through a lot of love, care, affection. There's a lot of support given to mum in the early days, right throughout the time they're in the placement, and they're often supported to go on and live in the community by themselves. And that's what we're looking for. And we are looking at that early attachment. We're looking at mum's mental health. We're looking at, is mum coping with baby? And also being in a foster placement, they're given a real sense of belonging as well.
Just Bob mentioned a few symptoms here of sleep deprivation, fatigue, and sometimes you've got depression as well that builds into it. For an Asian bloke like myself, I probably will never feel or imagine what it is, but for those viewers at home, could you just elaborate on the pain and suffering that this could actually have an effect on?
Well, I think it's a very difficult subject to speak about, like I said, because of that pressure that motherhood is supposed to be this miraculous and joyful event where the mother automatically connects to a child. Therefore, speaking about any resentment towards sleep deprivation, I'm really tired, how do I care for the baby who keeps crying? I think feeling bad as if you're not a good enough mother to console your own child. Things, I think those are kind of the starting issues which can arise, and the thing is it can intensify during that period. So I think it's the 1 in 10 women will experience a change in their mental health or a mental illness antenatally and then postnatally, so before having the baby in pregnancy and after having the baby. And definitely it can lead to postnatal depression, which I think is missed. I think it's missed a lot because there's that reluctance for women to speak up and say their real experience. So a lot of tearfulness, withdrawal, changes in appetite, changes in sleep, which will be associated with the routine of the baby, but I think an intensified version of self-doubt and lower self-esteem. And then you've also got the postnatal psychosis, the puerperal psychosis, which can also occur with, like I said, with the trauma that happens when you have a baby. There's so much change and it's so intense that I think some women experience a very unusual set of symptoms where they lose touch from reality, and it's a complete out-of-body type of experience. And that's when services really need to, well, before then, but services really need to be more intensely involved to help people who are going through that.
Parental care and being pregnant is for the best of people, can be quite different. Sleep deprivation, loss of appetite, withdrawal as well. ਸਾਡੇ ਜੋ ਮਾਂ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨੀਂਦ ਦੀ ਕਮੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਾਫੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉਲਝਣਾ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਉਲਝਣਾ ਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹਦਾ ਉਲਝਣਾ ਦਾ ਸੋਚ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਵੈਸੇ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੁੱਛेंगे ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗਾ, what can we do about this?
I think it's about being kinder to the whole family unit and thinking about how you're going to raise a child, how you're going to bring a child into this world. And I think things that are said, that I've heard people say that, oh, we've been doing this for years, we had a baby and then we went straight back to work and did that. I think that causes a pressure on women, which doesn't feel that kind. So I think just being open to allow someone to say, what's your experience? And quite often when a woman becomes pregnant, their own relationship with their mother comes into play. So sometimes there's a lot of past events and their own childhood which starts to come out in that pregnancy. So just being really open and aware and non-judgmental. So when I work with my ladies, I will say, there's nothing that you can't say that will make me panic. If you are feeling negatively towards yourself, the baby, what you're experiencing, motherhood, it's okay and it's normal. It's very normal.
You mentioned family. What can family do to support people in women in pregnancy?
I think like being non-judgmental, allowing a space for someone to say, I think there's the practical element of if possible, not everybody has the luxury of family who can help out, but I think if that's possible, then allow someone a little bit of time to themselves. We almost prescribe that with our ladies to say, once a week, can you do something for yourself? Can your partner take the baby and look after the baby for 10-15 minutes, where you just even have a bath? You kind of just get a chance to relax. Being like not completely escalating a situation, so not getting really panicked if a mother is showing signs that she's not interested in her baby. There are lots of sites which we can go into a little bit later, which I can also direct people to just learn a little bit more about it and be better informed, and then you will feel a bit more comfortable about what to look out for.
Some Jaspal उन्होंने कैसे कि जो असी जो बीबीएस साड़ी जो गर्भवती होंदी है बच्चे दे दिंदी है उन्हें भी थोड़ा टाइम चाहिए हम अपने आप में करने से कभी जो आदमी होंदे हस्बैंड्स होंदे हैं उन्हें थोड़ा देखना पड़ता है कि की हो रहा है कितना चल रहा है कभी कई प्राणी है जो हेल्प करते हैं पर कई है कि जो उन्हें कहते हैं कि तेरी जिम्मेदारी और भी होंदी है अभी सानू देखना पड़ता है कि 10-15 मिनट उन्होंने दें वैसे अपने स्नान करने वैसे या कुछ करने से अपना आपने कर सके क्योंकि टेंशन काफ़ी बढ़ जाती है. Going back to Kieran, talking about adoption and fostering as well, and your role going forward. How is perinatal being impacted in the BMI community?
It is quite a significant issue, and it's something at the moment that we're not addressing. It's purely because there is a lot of judgment around it, that as mums you should just be able to get on and look after your baby. There's ways of doing things, and it makes mums feel quite negative about that as well. Especially in our communities as well, there's not space for them to go and speak to someone, for them to actually say, look, actually this is how I feel. And that's where they need to start making connections and being able to maybe access services and saying, well, actually, this is how I'm feeling inside. And as Jaspal said, this is a lot of it is normal feeling, and it's a normal process, and it's about connecting with that and then going on from there.
I know we spoke earlier about having carers and people who help out in the community, and you mentioned that Sikh people don't tend to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of Sikh foster families at all, and that I also think is to do with a little bit of judgment. They don't actually know what's involved in fostering, but mother and baby placements, or as we call them, parent and child placements, is where mums and dads are, particularly mums mainly, are very supported to take care of their babies, and that initial 6 months of time with the baby is extremely important to their ongoing development as well.
So why is it the Sikh community as a whole is known to fostering?
I think that they don't really know very much about it. They don't understand it.
Do you mind educating them?
So in terms of the Sikh faith, everyone is our child, and therefore there are a lot of children from all diverse communities, including Sikh communities, that require amazing foster parents. And there are so many parents out there from Sikh communities, from diverse communities, that can offer a beautiful home to a child that has either suffered loss of a parent, come from domestic violence, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and you're supported in the fostering role to look after that child. And I'd love to see more people come forward to be foster parents from the Sikh community.
Kira's made a valid point there that not enough people from the Sikh community are coming forward and helping out doing this seva. We talk quite a lot about doing seva for the Pant, and for me, looking at what Kira just said, there is no bigger seva than actually working with the Pant. जो उनके ना सी गाल कर चुके हैं कि काफ़ी जो सिखाने बच्चे हैं वो केयर में चल जाते हैं केयर मतलब है कि ये सोशल सर्विस में चल गए या कुछ कारण करके चल जाते हैं पे सारे को सिख फैमिलीज़ नहीं है कि जो अपनी दरवाजे खोल के उन्होंने अपना सके सारे बंदे नहीं है कि इनफ कम्युनिटी विच कि अपनी खुद दी कम्युनिटी ਨੂੰ ਲੁੱਕ ਆਫਟਰ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮਾਰਜ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਖੁਦ ਬੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ ਤੇ just while coming back to you about your work as perinatal and then going into fostering and cares, how is that linked to you?
Well, we actually work really closely with social services or children and family services. So I suppose what we do is we think about the mother's mental health and also the partner's involvement or the additional family and how they can help the main parents and the main caregivers. But then social services they do have a lot of resources. It depends in certain boroughs, but what we do is we work with them to think of early help in terms of parenting styles and parenting classes that we tap into. So just thinking about more social inclusion. So how does that mum and child then relate to the community? Where do they access groups, nursery nurses? How do they team up the midwifery
care? Collaborative unit.
Yeah.
Just before we got a good call coming through. So hello.
Hello, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੀ ਕੌਣ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ
ਇਹ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਰੀਲੀ ਨਾਈਸ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੱਕ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਜਨਰਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਫੋਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਕਰੇ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਆਫਰ ਕਰੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਐਨੀ ਸ਼ਾਈ ਕਿਉਂ ਫੀਲ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਇਸ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ
ਭਾਜੀ
ਦੇਖਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਹੁਤੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪਪੂਲਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਦਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ
Paji, thank you for answering that question. Very, very nice question. Kiran, if you'd like to start with that one there.
Paji, I think it's because people don't not actually understand what fostering is. Fostering is something you're very supported to do. You have a team of people around you that actually explain to you what the role is. Before you become a foster carer, we come and visit you and we explain the role to you. We also invite you to a 3 to 4 day training course, and so you become skilled to become a foster carer as well. And after that, we support you all the way. Even when you have a child placed with you, we support you to look after that child. We support you at meetings, like there are school meetings that you'll go to. We support you with that as well. So I think our community is thinking, well, you get the child and then there's nobody there to come and support you. Or people are scared of the type of children that may come into their homes. These are children that need some love, some support, care, and some specialist services sometimes to go in. So you will look after that child alongside specialist services working with you.
थोड़े से पंजाबी से दस्ते जो दर्शन सुन पड़ते जो फॉस्टरिंग हैगी है एक किस्म दे सपोर्ट सिस्टम है जो एक बच्चे ਨੂੰ सपोर्ट देना हैगा जो सोशल सर्विसेज है क्या वो इन्वॉल्व है किरण जैसे बंदे भी इन्वॉल्व है पर ਤੁਹਾਡੀ जो अहम मकसद है ना वो बच्चे ਨੂੰ ਸਿਕਿਉਰ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਆਈਡੈਂਟੀਟੀ ਦੇਣਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾਲੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੇਅਰ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਇੱਕ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੋਏ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਮਜ਼ਹਬ ਹੋਏ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਜੋ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਜ਼ਹਬ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਰੱਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਕੇਅਰ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਨਾ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਡਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲੀ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਹਨਾਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਰੈਗੂਲਰਲੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਤੇ ਜੋ ਥੋੜਾ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਜੋ ਨੈਟਵਰਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਤੇ ਕਮਿੰਗ ਬੈਕ ਟੂ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਭਾਜੀ ਡਿਡ I answer your question ਭਾਜੀ
Yeah, thank you very much.
अच्छा thank you there वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह coming back to the point we made before the call about support network how important is that to a family because there's quite a lot nowadays before we used to be going back a few years when families used to be together and then you had the mother-in-law or the grandmother who was able to support. But now we're such a fast-paced environment where literally there is no more 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. It's literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How do families, especially those who are just husband and wife and children,
I think it's everybody. Not everybody, like I said before, has the luxury of that support in the family that I think quite often, I know I do, take for granted. So I think not having that can feel quite excluding. And I suppose just to think about any sort of network that you've created, whether it is family by relation or family that you've created, services that are important to you, however you have got a network around you, to just keep you reflective, to keep you thinking of things that you might not see. I think that's what's quite important to think about. Like I said, the dependence that child brings. You know, with other animals, they have babies and they go off, and the babies most of them can survive. Most of them. Whereas if you left a baby alone, the baby's not going to survive. So I think that complete focus on a child and the giving of that parent of themselves fully, that can feel quite lonely. And I think without that addition of network and family and support, that's when problems can go unnoticed, and that's when the child ultimately suffers. Because if you're thinking about creating the best possible environment for that child, whether it's in the mum's tummy or outside, that's what you want. Every parent will think at some point, I want the best for my child, whatever they can do. But part of that best environment is thinking about as much love as possible. And I think the network can create that.
Wow, fantastic news there, guys. Got another call online. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਜੀ
ਭਾਜੀ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੈ
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਦੀ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਸਿਕਿਉਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ
ਓਕੇ
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹਰੇਕ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ 'ਚ ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਹੈ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਠੀਕ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ
Just one over to you. How do you look after, how does a family survive in this day and age with so much going around? What tools or techniques could you give?
Every family is different, and I think when we talk about services, we can make the mistake of generalizing things. It's important to think about what can help, what kind of main things can help, but we say sort of talking is important to try and eradicate that stigma and the shame that comes with saying out loud that actually I'm not okay and I'm not dealing with this.
ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਜਸਪਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੈਗਾ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਜੇ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਿਆਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਸੇ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਟੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਗੱਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ what happens afterwards?
I think there's different things that are important for different people. So what keeps me well mentally is different from what keeps you well mentally, and the family will work in the same way. So it's about finding what works for that family. You know, there's different things, and I think later on we're going to talk about when you can't speak about things and you use different types of therapies, like art therapies. There's also other things which are important to specific people. Like for example, for me, it's faith. My Sikhi and doing Path helps keep me grounded, and it helps keep me connected to something. That's not the same with everybody. I understand that, but I think trying to find out what makes your heart at ease, like when you listen to what's happening, that inner voice in you, and then express that. A lot of the times, there's a lot more of a flow and a togetherness, whoever you're speaking to.
ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ 'ਚ ਬੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਉਹ ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਖੁਦ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਚੰਗੀ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਜਿਸ ਪਾ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਾਠ ਤੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਈ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਈ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ ਪੰਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਝ ਕਰਿਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਿਓ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨੁਕਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਜੋ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੋਏਗੇ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਦੌਰਾਨ
ਇਹ ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ
ਇਹ ਨੰਬਰ ਤੇ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ 8 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਰਿਓ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਜਸਪਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ
ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਅਮਰਜੀਤ ਆ ਭਾਜੀ ਮੈਂ
ਅਮਰਜੀਤ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨੇ
ਲੰਡਨ ਤੋਂ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ
ਚਲੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੋਨ ਕਰ ਲਿਓ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਦੱਸੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ talking about support in the fostering and caring community, we're talking about a number of, just talk about best environments, support, structure, and everything from there. So if you got what advice would you give to someone who's thinking, do you know what, I want to help out a Sikh child, I want to help out another, I want to have that compassion, that love, that diya inside me to do, what can they do? What's the starting point?
I would say either ring your local fostering agency, come and have a chat with them. They'll come and visit you. They will even buddy you up with another foster carer as well, and you can have a chat and find out lots of things about fostering, and that's an opportunity for you to ask lots of questions that are in your mind and you need to get clarified. So that's just the first step. Just pick up the phone and we'll help you with the rest.
जो पानी थोड़ा जा चिखलाने गया कि फॉस्टरिंग की हैगी है या देखना कि केयरिंग किला किसी हो बच्चे ने फिर केयर करने किरने राम ने होने सन लसेगा कि भाई उन्होंने किसी उन्होंने फ़ोन करके पूछ लो वो देखेंगे तो दसने की हैगा उस बात और ये दसेंगे कि शायद कोई आगे जाके देखे दिखाओ से की प्रोसेस की हैगा I've just got a message coming through. What is short-term and long-term care?
Okay, the difference between short-term and long-term care is that you can have a child with you from anything from a few days to a few months, and even up till a year to 2 years can be classed as short-term fostering. Longer-term fostering is when the local council decides that this is the best place for the child to stay long-term, and they can be with you all the way up until they're 18 then.
Short-term जो है छोटे टाइम वास्ते बंदे हो सके 1-2 दिन वास्ते हो सके 1-2 महीने वास्ते हो सके ते कई तरह के लंबे तौर ते भी केयर हो सकती है तो बच्चों दे coming understanding the whole process can be short-term therapy can be for a couple of days to a couple of years and longer-term care can be for a longer extended period of time. Coming back to what therapies can complement perinatal health. You mentioned art therapy before for those who can't talk. I was wondering, can they go to their GP and talk directly to their GP about this or not?
So I suppose there's two different things. If we're talking about perinatal mental health, there is the art therapy component and how that complements that. But if you're thinking about how to access perinatal services, is that... Okay, so accessing perinatal services, when you have your booking appointment for a woman who has realised that they're pregnant, and then you would see a midwife for their booking appointment saying, okay, I'm expecting, everything's been checked physically, and then at that appointment your midwife will ask you a little bit of questions about how you're feeling and how you're feeling about the pregnancy. Are you happy with the pregnancy? Was it planned? And at that point, if there are concerns around a previous history of mental health, or you're not feeling yourself, that's when the midwife can refer to perinatal mental health services. If that's not one of the routes, then definitely the GP is another route. There's also the Maternal Mental Health Alliance, which you can just go on there and get a little bit more information if you're unsure, and then reach out to your GP definitely.
So what website was that one?
Maternal Mental Health Alliance.
So if you need further information, you can go to the website of
Maternal Mental Health Alliance.
Maternal Mental Health Alliance. It's quite a tongue twister. I might need to Google that for you. Yeah, so that's where they access the services and find out more about it from there.
Yeah.
Kieran, we're going to be going for a break shortly.
Sure.
Before we go to a break, what advice would you give to someone who's listened to the programme, talking about caring, helping out for the community? I know you do quite a lot of wonderful work within the community with Connect Fostering. What advice would you give them, or what leaving message would you give them?
I would just say, just pick up the phone, come and chat to us, and we'll just do the rest from there.
It's amazing. Just to let you know, guys, Kieran will be available to take calls. So if you've got any calls, any thoughts of the show, please give a ring and go from there. We're going to be heading forward to our break in a bit. Before we go to our break, just whilst I wanted to touch base with you on this next second part of this topic, which is art therapy. And I know you're quite compassionate about art therapy. Just a bit about background about you and art therapy. What's the connection?
With me and art therapy myself. I think my connection with art therapy, for me, art was a way for me to sort of escape and connect to something. So I grew up in quite a difficult, I would say a difficult childhood, and often using art materials and painting and drawing and writing stories, I felt quite happy, and that really stood with me throughout my life. And then I came across the course separate to the mental health experience, and I thought this is something that's really important to a lot of the people that I've worked with are very creative, and they use that as a way of communicating.
So it's interesting to see how different forms of therapy can be complementing in working through different patches of life. Sometimes it can be quite easy to take one thing and one thing only, but sometimes you have to go with a different number of options, see how they are, what works for you best. A bit like therapy I mentioned on it can be one size doesn't fit all, different people have different things. Coming back to जो बंदे mental health ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੈ ਕਦੀ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਆਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣੇ ਕੇ ਲਈ ਆਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਕਦੀ ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗ ਜਾਂ ਆਰਟ ਥੈਰੇਪੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਕਦੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਥੈਰੇਪੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਕਈ ਡਰਾਮਾ ਥੈਰੇਪੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ from there. So yeah, so I want to say we're going to be heading off to our break, and yeah, it's just our telephone lines are now open, and if you've got any queries and any thoughts you want to go to our panel, please give a ring on the number below, and we can take your calls from there. जो बंदे ने सारा शो देख रहे हैं उन्हें कोई सवाल जो आप कुछ करना है सारे ब्रेक तो बाद टेलीफोन लाइन्स खुल गई है तो तुम अपने क्वेश्चन जो है सारे पैनल दस सकते हो या कुछ भी पूछना है वो भी कर सकते हो। चलो वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह।